Hey guys, Paul Pluta on the Paul Pluta channel, the ArchieLuxury channel, and ArchieLuxury Corporate. Today guys, I want to answer the question, why is Rolex so expensive? And I gotta tell you, it doesn't matter who you ask. If you talk to most average non-wristwatch people, and you say to them, what is the most expensive wristwatch? Chances are they will say Rolex. Rolex. In fact, Rolex is one of the most internationally recognized brands of all time. So the question is, why is Rolex so expensive? Why is Rolex such an expensive brand? Why indeed why? And let's have a look at it. So let's have a look at some various aspects that make the Rolex wristwatch so expensive. Well, firstly, let's have a look at the R&D, the research and development. Rolex has always been at the front, a front runner in technology for wristwatches. Rolex was one of the first makers to highlight the advantages of a waterproof wristwatch. In fact, most Rolex watches today, we're saying most because there is the Cellini dress line, are what they refer to as oysters. Oysters, a waterproof case which allows the piece to have unbelievable water resistance. Now, R&D, research and development. Rolex was also one of the first to have high-grade surgical steel, which would be tougher, stronger, more durable. Rolex itself has also been a leader in the industry. They were one of the first to have bring in all the components of wristwatch manufacture in-house. And this includes Rolex is one of the only companies in the world to have their own gold foundry. They make their own gold. Well, they melt it down and make it into the alloy, which we know as 18 karat gold. So it's a very, very interesting situation. The R&D of Rolex is incredible. No other company does so much testing, does so much internal production to have their name on the dial. The only other company which comes close, who is it? Seiko. Seiko, that's right. Seiko is one of the only companies which has so much in-house work. So the R&D costs are a big thing. It's very, very expensive to be at the forefront. These are the people who invent the wheel, not simply duplicate it as cheaply as possible. So R&D costs are a big part of Rolex's cost of production. The next situation is the manufacturing process. Now, Rolex itself it used to have a number of factories which were owned by Rolex and owned by other people. Over time, Rolex has made this, they've bought these people out, or they have gone and done in-house themselves. Now, with this process, Rolex now has 3 main mega factories. The thing about this is that Rolex has a huge payroll, a massive payroll. Rolex itself has huge costs. Rolex has the ability to produce up to 1 million watches a year. Rolex is very, very secretive about how many actual watches they do release, but it's rumored to be a bit over the 1 million mark. The rumor is now it has gone down to 800,000 timepieces. The reason for the setback? Well, a number of years ago, after the financial crisis, 2007, 2008, after the meltdown financial crisis, Rolex got very panicky when Asia, which is Rolex's fastest growing, biggest market, especially with the onboarding of China, started to show signs of recession. So what happened? Rolex decided to turn production down, turn the gas down, gear down, not gear up. And what happened? Well, this has turned into a stroke of genius because everybody wants what they can't have. That's exactly it. So Rolex itself there, they themselves have massive production costs. Massive. Now, they do have very good economies of scale and they can churn these pieces out. But Rolex has many big costs. They have a workforce which is operating out of one of the most expensive European countries on the planet. So wages are high. The majority of their staff who are in the manufacturing process are Swiss nationals who earn good coin. There is very little Chinese offshoring with Rolex. The other thing about Rolex themselves there, they also engage very expensive things. Like, for example, they have the best of offices in the most prestigious of locations. When Rolex needs a law firm, they don't go to a small suburban lawyer. No. Top end of town. Top end of town. So everything Rolex does is the expensive end. So you are going to top lawyers, you're going to top advertising agencies, you are seeking expert opinions. So this is a very, very expensive process. Yes, they may have economies of scale, but when you're Rolex, you go to the top sources. So this costs a fortune, an absolute fortune. Production costs on Rolex are very, very expensive. You've got expensive workforce, high-end, everything is the best lawyer, the best marketing agency, the best. So it's a very expensive business. The third reason, and we're going to look at this, the third reason is the marketing budget. The marketing budget of Rolex. Admittedly, this is often paid for by the ADs because when you sign a Rolex AD, you agree to do so much advertising. But regardless who actually pays the bill, Rolex insists huge, expensive advertisements are placed constantly. They only sell 800,000 products a year. So you can work this out very quickly. A full-page ad in National Geographic, a full-page ad on Time magazine, a full-page ad in the Financial Times. How to spend it, baby, section. Well, in that supplemental magazine, how to spend it, fuckers, in the Financial Times, well, that ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. It's very expensive. So Rolex has some of the most expensive advertising on planet Earth. So these factors make the wristwatch extremely expensive. And the final thing I'd like to add is that the actual costs of production, the costs of marketing, the cost of research and development, well, that really doesn't have much bearing. As long as Rolex is in the black, they can charge what they want. It's a luxury product. See, if they were affordable, Rolex would lose cachet. So the fact that most people can't afford it, well, that works in their favor. Rolex has decided to position themselves as the Mercedes-Benz of wristwatches. That's right. This is why Rolex is so expensive. See, there's cheaper cars than say, an E-Class Mercedes for the family. In fact, in Australia, you can buy some very decent cars, like, say, a Toyota Camry instead of a E-Class. Well, you can, and this is called cachet. So Rolex doesn't want the Camry person having the Mercedes. You got to pay for it, Charlie. So if you don't want to pay for it, they don't care. We're not trying to force you to do nothing. We want people to want the Mercedes. Same thing with Rolex. Rolex itself, is it better than, say, Seiko? Well, they both tell the time. They both get you from A to B. They both are made of steel. They yada, yada, yada. However, Rolex, it's a marketing ploy. It's a luxury product. The cost of manufacture has no reference to the sale price. As long as they're in the black, it doesn't matter. So in Rolex's case there, why is Rolex so expensive? Because the nasty, vicious Rolex buyers wouldn't have it any other way. That's right, the Rolex customer themselves, they are nasty critters, and they want to have a sense of elitism. I can afford a Rolex. I wear a Rolex, you loser. That's what they say. That's what these people say. It's not me myself. I'm just telling you what the average Rolex customer thinks. He thinks he's a step above the average person. See, Rolex itself is a luxury item. It's cachet, fuckers. Cachet. And he doesn't want the normal person to buy the Rolex. It's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. If it doesn't hurt, they don't want it. It's gotta hurt, man. It's gotta hurt. See, when one buys a Rolex, we don't want everybody else having one. See, we want a sense of achievement, a sense of accomplishment. So Rolex itself, why is it so expensive? Because they can! The customers for Rolex wouldn't have it any other way. I'm Paul Pluter, the method actor who plays Archibald Chesterfield III. Tell me why you think Rolex is so expensive. Like, subscribe, tell your Rolex wearing friends, and don't forget to put a few nasty comments in the section down below. See you later, Rolex!